where our intent in this program is to really get a deeper insight into Maharaj's preaching activities, as well as the exciting webinar series that is to come. So for those who don't know Maharaj, but I think from the participants, I think most of you do know, Maharaj is a disciple of His Holiness Bhakti Swami. And Maharaj joined in 1984. He joined the International Society for Krishna Consciousness in 1984 in Lagos, Nigeria. Maharaj has steered many projects, and has been in management of the temple as well as the West African sub-region. However, one of the instructions Maharaj received from his spiritual master is to preach to the scholars and professors. So with that, Maharaj has an amazing academic, portfolio. He holds a PhD in Applied Management and Decision Sciences from the Walden University, that's in the USA, and has over 35 publications in international academic and peer-reviewed journals. In his research, Maharaj incorporates, Vaishnava Vedanta philosophy into mainstream secular academic models and puts forward creative and spiritually based solutions to create to the current socio and political problems. Personally, I met Bhakti Vasudeva Maharaj when I was studying on campus at the University of KwaZulu-Natal in Durban. And Maharaj has really helped me personally, to integrate my spiritual life into the corporate world. So, with this, we would like to also extend this opportunity to devotees to listen to Maharaj's amazing presentations, and in that way we can also learn how to preach to people that we work with, or may not necessarily, to people who may not necessarily be introduced to Krishna consciousness. So welcome, Maharaj. That was just a quick intro into your background.
Thank you.
Like I said, this is very informal, so if there are any technical glitches or shortcomings, please forgive us. So Maharaj, how this is going to work is that I'm going to be asking you some questions, and if you can please, enlighten us more about this. Okay.
All right.
How are you doing? So for everyone online, Maharaj has been in lockdown in Sri Vrindavan Dham. Since when, Maharaj?
Since March.
Wow, Jai. So please may you offer a prayer for all of us online that we may be able to serve. Yeah.
All right, I'll do that.
I don't know if you can see who's online as well. We have a few devotees from Durban and and Joburg. I'm not sure if you're from wherever you're from in the world. Please message us, and we'd love to do a shout out. So Maharaj, I'm just going to get into it because this is the crux of everything, and we are thirsty for your knowledge and nectar. So thank you for this opportunity. So Maharaj, the first question we'd like to ask is, we take it for granted that everyone has an understanding of your vast academic career. Please, could you share your efforts in the last few years and how you have successfully dovetailed our teachings in this regard?
Thank you. That's a nice inquiry, and I hope I'm able to also respond in a very in a nice way. So you told one part of the story, so let me just quickly complete the rest. Yeah, so I joined the Krishna movement when I was a young guy in Nigeria, 1984, And one of the instructions that Bhakti Swami Maharaj gave to me was that I should do something. These were his words. That, okay, let me just give you just a brief background of that. So I sent him my report. Normally every month we sent him the leaders, the managers, his managers. We send him report. So I sent him a report of the things that I was doing the past 1 year before I moved to the next temple. And he, in his response, normally those same things I was doing, like going out for book distribution with devotees. I was temple president at that time. And, going for Harina with the devotees, going for Food for Life, food distribution. So he used to be very enthused when I sent him reports like that. So, but then the next temple that he sent me to, when I sent him the same reports, he wrote back to me saying that, Vasudeva, your report is fine. He said, this your report is fine, but all the things you mentioned in your report, any devotee in this country can do it. Then he said, go to the universities and preach to the professors. That was the first hard knock about, preaching to academics. So I took it as his utmost instruction, and I started developing some interest in that. And it was based on that execution of the instruction that I got an opportunity to be invited by the Georgia Political Science Association in America to come to the annual conference for 2004 in November. They had the annual conference, and my proposal was accepted for presentation. So that's how I came to America for the first time for presentation. So actually, I came to America as a hot cake. I was demanded by professors to come. Yeah, so that was the beginning of the scenario. And then the next year, 2005, I had 5 conferences in 6 weeks in America. So I went to America, and at that time I was carrying a Nigerian passport. I was born in Nigeria. I joined in Nigeria, so I was carrying a Nigerian passport. And when I disembarked at New York airport, this immigration officer was harassing me all over the place just because I was carrying a Nigerian passport. So then he was demanding, where are you going? Where are you going? I said, I'm going to a conference. He said, where is your invitation paper? So I brought an invitation I showed him an invitation from the president of the Georgia Political Science Association. And because I was pretty skinny, and so you can't imagine that such a skinny black guy, black guys, we have a stigma. So then he was pressurizing me and harassing me all over the place. So I brought that invitation and showed to him. So he read through, and he was back presentation by the Georgia Political Science Association. And when he turned to me and asked, so you're a professor? Then I snapped at him. I said, my invitation should tell you who I am. There and then, this immigration officer who was harassing me all over the place because I was carrying a Nigerian passport, He started answering. Each time he wants to ask me something, then he will say, sir. Each time he wants to ask me something, he will say, sir. So my point here is that if you don't have good education, people will treat you despicably. I saw that in my own life. So the academic program has been very challenging. First of all, you want to do academic program, this type of preaching program, you have to have very strong sadhana. Because Krishna could give you so many ideas at one point in time that you may run away from even your japa to go and write them down. So first thing, that you need a very strong sadhana to be able to deal with the integration of the spiritual philosophy with academic concepts and constructs. Yeah.
That's really powerful, Miraj. And thank you so much for sharing that that story with the immigration officer. Miraj, we beg to know more about your mood and when it comes to preaching and outreach. Please may you share your vision and desires, as well as the desires for your spiritual master. I know you touched on it previously, but we really want to know more about your vision for your future preaching activities.
Yeah. The mood of preaching to academics or professionals in general is that you have to be a good listener. People are not interested in people who just talk. They want to see, are you a good listener? Second, do you share their zeal? Do you share their ideas? Or you want them to accept your ideas only? If you want them to only accept your ideas, then, it won't work. In other words, you have to be able to be accommodated. Third, you have to be very friendly. Friendly relationship of helping to spread the Vaishnava Vedanta philosophy to non-devotees. Being friendly. So I'll give you an example. I have a lot of friends. Some of them are not even, they can't think of being a devotee. But when some of them, when they come close to me, then they realize that I have something. I speak sometimes strange. I use terminologies, even in my presentations at the conferences. I use terminologies that are not, that, management scientists or political scientists, they've not had before. And so, they mentioned that Naso Muni, Yasa Matanga Bina, you are not a scholar if your opinion is not different. So you're being friendly, you're being a good listener, and you're being accommodating. At the same time, you have a chance to be able to integrate what you have learned from the vast ocean of Vedic knowledge, to be able to make an input into a contribution into your field of specialization. Because, so I'll give you an example in this regard. So there was one time I went for a presentation at a social science conference. And I was talking about religious stuff as a fulcrum or as a basis for positively transforming society. Because in general, scholars and non-religious people, they tend to think that there are so many troubles or problems in the world because of religion. And you cannot blame them. So we have a situation where we need to impress on people that there's something different. So I made a presentation in that social science conference on some, I don't remember the exact theme, but something I used some terminology like something that has to do with positively changing society in a positive way. I mean religion. And in that respect, I use the term, I use the term like, religious transmogrification. I remember one of the terms I used in terms I used on my paper was religious transmogrification. Now, I made a presentation at that conference, and they selected my paper to be published in their journal. So they had published the paper. I went to the office of the secretary, one young professor, and immediately I entered his office. I announced my presence, Vasudeva. Immediately, the guy started bombarding me with questions. He asked me one question after the other for over 7 minutes. He was bombarding me with questions. And I was just responding in a very jolly way, in a very free way without any hitches. And when he finished, he busted out laughing. And he started begging that he's sorry that he didn't observe any courtesy. He's supposed to allow me to sit down and, as a natural sequence of events when you have a guest in your office. He said he didn't do that he's so sorry. But he explained the reason why he couldn't do that. He couldn't hold himself to do that. He said all the members of the editorial board of that journal, they have been very eager to meet with me. And so he said he was the fortunate person who had encountered me first. So he wanted to satisfy his conscience so that when he meets the board members, he can tell them that, yeah, I met the guy. So we became friends. That day, I gave him Bhagavad Gita, Self-Realization, and some other purpose books. We became friends. And you know what? I went to one of their conferences again, and some of the professors, the editorial board members, they came to meet me, and they said that I should be contributing to their journal regularly. So I became puffed up. I said, why me? There are other professors, there are other scholars here. You should solicit papers from them. Then listen to their response. They said, all these guys, all these professors, whatever they say, we know. Whatever the other professors say they know. The board members said they know. Then they confessed that what you say, we don't know. That's why we want you. We want your papers in our journal regularly. So it is something that sometimes is beyond explications or explanation about how Krishna wants the things to unfold, and he simply will use the devotee as an instrument to accomplish certain objectives. So your mood, I've shared that the mood should be that of someone who is very friendly, someone who is a good listener, and someone who is accommodating. You have to share the zeal, the views of others. And that is how to create good relationships in the professional world. If you try to impose your ideas, or you try to claim that your ideas or your philosophy is the highest thing, everything else, everybody else don't know anything, well, it doesn't work like that. So we have to see how we are becoming part of the greater world, but not sacrifice our values. when people see us, that we have the degrees they have, and we have values they don't have, and because we get close to them, then they are forced to become close to us or friendly with us, because we have the degrees they have, but we have values they don't have. And academics especially is like a competition. People are checking you. What do you have? So here, you see the guy, he has the qualifications you have, he has more publications than you, but he also has, spiritual values. And so that creates a lot of attraction. And that's how sometimes I'll be sitting. See, when I went to America for the second time in February 2005, I have 5 presentations in 6 weeks. Even my Guru Maharaj, Bhakti Swami, when I was speaking with him on the phone, he asked me, Vasudeva, how did you get all these engagements? He asked me, he instructed me to do it, but even him, he became surprised at how the speed at which I was moving. Yeah, so when we receive instruction from the spiritual master, it might be very challenging, it might be very difficult. We shouldn't think that we have been singled out, that we should be given a soft service or, mild service, something that is not demanded. When we receive instruction from the spiritual master, we should receive it wholeheartedly, bearing in mind that instruction from the guru is always encapsulated with empowerment.
So you touched on, having those 3 qualities of being a good listener, being accommodating and friendly. However, I'm not sure if many other devotees feel this way as well, but this question is, how do we embrace our Krishna consciousness within the workspace? Sometimes we become too undercover per se, and we don't really, I think sometimes we're a bit scared of how people would react. But how do we really, embrace it and, like you said, share those values that we've learned? And obviously, yeah, okay, we'll leave that to you, Raj.
Yeah, that's what I said. That you don't go to the office and start propagating that, hey, Krishna's 2 Bhagavan Swayam, because you're not supposed to preach religion in the office. Okay? So that's why I mentioned you have to have some values. You have to be friendly. You have to be a good listener. And when they come close to you, you're friendly, you're a good listener, you're accommodating, you allow people to have, you encourage rapport. When people come close to you, they will see your values. I'll give you an example. Right there in South Africa, right there in your country. One of the young couples that I used to stay in their home, the wife has a master's in IT. Husband has a master's in energy management. And so the wife was working in they were in South Africa. Then they moved to Canada a couple of years back. The wife was working in a research institute, and we had a program also in that institute. She organized the program, and she told me a story how the whole of their research partners, the whole of their colleagues, they knew her as someone principled, valued-based professional, a valued-based professional. So she was in that office. She never preached one day to anybody about Hare Krishna. But all over the place, they knew her values. One day, a lady, another researcher, she just came to her, to this devotee, and said, "Could you teach me yoga?" That's how she started teaching this lady Bhakti yoga, including chanting, to the point that during their break hours, when everyone is going to eat their nonsense and drink their nonsense, they will go to some corner under a shade and be chanting japa. The woman, her husband, is what do you call these church leaders, these Christian church leaders. A big person in that respect. So here you are, you find that because she established herself in that office and she has high profile qualifications also in her discipline, she had high values. Other people also, they have high profile qualifications, but she had something that no one else had. She was a valued-based professional. And so this lady got attracted to her without preaching, without nothing. That's how she made that lady a devotee. And this devotee I'm talking about, she's Indian body. The lady who came to get instructions or to solicit for instructions on Bhakti on yoga, she's a black woman. So when we position ourselves in a particular office, let our values flow. Let our character development flow. And there will be a pious soul who, just because of those values, will become attracted to us and will try to be friendly with us. I'm emphasizing on this because in most cases, we emphasize that don't associate with non-devotees. As satsang. But that is something that you have to reconsider if you want to preach. You can allow people to get close to you to take association, but for you to give association, but you don't take the association. And that way, you maintain a psychological space. You understand that this person could be the cause of my downfall. And so when we have that psychological space and we are at the same time freely interacting with people and having a good rapport with people, listening to them, listening to their challenges, then people will naturally become attracted to us and they will want to know our secret. Some people will even ask you, what is your secret? Some people will ask you about some stories. Some people in the office, because of these values, someone comes to ask you, how do I become like you? I want to become like you. Yeah, so that's how it works. I remember one of my professor friends, he was the editor-in-chief of one of the journals that I was regularly contributing to. He became so much attracted to me. He was the head of classics, the head of department for classics. And that time he had grown up children. Some of them, one of them was even a medical doctor. He's an elderly person, but he just becomes so much enamored to my prolific exposition in presenting papers. And he said he also wants to become like me, And that guy, I ended up making all of his office. He had some 3 secretaries. all those two secretaries, they became, very much disposed, cordially disposed to Krishna consciousness. And therefore, I will freely come, when I come from the temple, I will give them prasadam. But it came to a point, listen, because when you get close to these people, very close, I didn't have an opportunity to start, giving them cookies. And I remember that professor, his secretaries, they became very much attached to me, that if I'm not, at some point in time, it became like a problem, that if I'm not carrying prasadam, I couldn't go to that office. Yeah, so creating a good rapport with people, a good relationship with people, it makes a lot of difference. By the way, can you display my email?
Sure, Maharaj. Yes.
Do you have it? bvs.bts8 at Gmail. Because some people may be wanting to send me some email.
Sorry, Maharaj, may you please confirm
B as in Bhakti, V as in victory, S as in Swami, dot B as in Bhakti, T as in theater, S as in Swami, 8, the number 8.
Thank you.
At gmail.com.
Okay, I'm sending that to
so just in case anybody wants to connect it.
Sure.
The first letter is small letter B.
Okay, sorry about that. Maharaj, so this program is to also, share your upcoming webinars with devotees. And we wanted to give some background so that, everyone is on board and can also share it with their work colleagues. You do go by the name of Dr. Vasudeva Das. So can you please, share some background on that? And, you can also tell us how your journals have how it's referenced, and so we can also share it with our our inner circles.
Yeah. What happens is that when I got my first initiation, I changed all of my academic documents to my initiation name, Vasudeva Das. So that officially became my name in the greater world. And so I remember when I was naturalizing in America, some devotees told me, why didn't you just change your name from Vasudeva Das to Bhakti Vasudeva Swami, so that will become an official name? I said, no, I'm not going to be going about. I can't go and change all of my publications from Vasudeva Das to because all of my publications, they bear that formal name. And so the Bhakti Vasudeva Swami is just my officiating spiritual identity, and that is just known to the devotional community. And you see, one of the amazing things is that the irony about my name, Vasudeva Das, is that I go to academic conferences and people are able to call, professors, white professors, green professors, blacks, whatever. They're able to identify me by that name, and so they get purified when they call Vasudeva. Okay? And so I have a professional website, vasudevdas.com, and I have also a devotional website, bhaktivasudevaswami.com. So I operate on two rails, the professional rail and the devotional rail. That's exactly what the Upanishads mention, that we should work on two rails, nations and science. It means devotional science, devotional service, and professional development. Sometimes people don't want to do that because they feel it's too challenging. Yes, it is challenging, but Prabhupada said that if you want to hunt, if you want to go for hunting, go for a rhinoceros. When you shoot a rhinoceros down, you become a hero. So yeah, my name Vasudeva Das is known in the academic world, and Bhakti Vasudeva Swami is known in the devotional community. And all of my papers, all of my publications, over publications, they bear that name. I remember just quite recently, one of my friends in Florida, he mentioned to me, "Oh, Vasudeva, Maharaj, why don't you write some article about HIV?" I said, "Come on, you're not checking my publications. That was done about 18 years ago. Go online and check, the role of the Hare Krishnas in mitigating the social menace of HIV/AIDS." I said I published that. I presented a paper on that in an at an international conference, and it was published. It's on the web. So he was shocked. I said, "Hey, you're taking me for granted because I'm a black guy, right?" I was just joking. Yeah, so the name is a little bit intriguing. I remember one time I was rushed into emergency room in New York when my hepatitis was at the apex. So there was a doctor, an Indian doctor, Indian American doctor, who went into the emergency ward, and he was looking around on the beds. He was looking around. Actually, he came to see me, but he was looking around. But by the name, he was looking for an Indian body guy because so I saw him just walking around and looking. I said, "Hey, doc, what are you looking for?" He said he's looking for a patient. I said, "What's his name?" He said, "Vasudeva." I said, "I am the Vasudeva." Yeah. Yeah, and what's the next inquiry?
Thank you for sharing that, Miraj. So you did touch on, challenges that you face, especially when you're doing this type of preaching. What advice can you give us to overcome these challenges?
Well, the advice that I can share with you is that we have to be respectful to everyone. And it's also that, when people try to bring you down, I think I was sharing something with you the other day with you and Kalosha. I remember I went to one federal university. I want to meet the head of department for religion and philosophy. Then I went to tell him, that time I was a brahmachari. I was a young brahmachari. So I was putting on tilak and, saffron and all those things. And I went to the university, and then I went to the head of the department for philosophy and religion. And it's an elderly Christian. And then he looked at me from head to toe, and he just told me, "We don't do this here." And so when he said that, oh, I was taken aback because I was thinking, oh my goodness, he seen me as someone who's just wearing some bed sheet and is coming to disturb him. So I told him that, excuse me, sir, but I have 25 publications in peer-reviewed journals in 3 years. And then his response was very calmly, he said, can I see some of those publications? So the next day, I brought 3 publications from the highest university, the most prestigious and most, renowned university in the country. This was in Africa. So then I presented it, I showed him my papers, I flipped through, and then I showed him the publication there. I flipped through the next one, third one, and then I showed to him. So he was, he became calm. And then his response was, oh, when are you coming to make your presentation? So the point is that you have to be patient with people, but try to be equipped with appropriate skills and technology so that people don't try to bring you down. People attempt to bring you down, you tell them that, hey, this is my background, Because if you're not well educated, they will shun you away. They will shun you away. You will not even be bold. So develop good skills in your field so that you can, anybody who tries to bring you down or try to push you aside, you let them know, in a very polite way that, hey, never mind that I'm putting on this till like this is my qualification, okay? So yeah, challenges are there. Can I tell you a negative story to that effect?
Yes,
briefly.
Yeah.
Briefly, one white guy in America, that time I was getting angry, he told me a story. He's a disciple of Sarswara Maharaj. How they had gone to Harvard University. Harvard is one of the Ivy Leagues in America. So they went there to distribute back to God. This guy, he didn't even go to college. So they went to Howard in front to get at the park that would distribute back to God. And so one young man had lighted from his car, and he had approached him to give a back to God to this guy. And the guy just looked at him and he said, "Don't you know I'm an Harvard professor?" In other words, look, what have you got to tell me? Get out here. He said, the whole day, it could not distribute one magazine. He went back home sorrowful. Because the point is that here is a professor and he didn't even go to college. And so he told me that story, and that is really pathetic. But you see, these are some of the challenges in trying to preach. But if you have the skills, you can tell the person that, hey, like the guy who tried to, treat me despicably, then I replied, I told him that, look, I have this number of publications. So challenges are there. Be brave, and at the same time, be humble. But first of all, you need to have good skills. You need to have good skills. You need to have sound education to be able to be bold. Because when people try to treat you badly, and then you come up with your background, they will simmer down. Because the world is a place, the world is not a good place. The world is not a good place. If you don't have high skills, high profile skills, people don't respect you. So if you want to do high profile preaching, yeah, you need to be prepared for it.
Thank you so much, Miraj. I think we all really appreciated those points. Miraj, we do have a question from Dipshika. So, Dipshika, please unmute yourself and you are welcome to ask Miraj a question.
Who is that?
Dipshika. I'm not saying, I'm not sure if I'm saying it correctly. Mataji?
Okay. Yes, what's the question?
Hare Krishna Maharaj, kindly accept my humble obeisances. Maharaj, very glad to see you. I'm sorry I was late. I wanted to know because I think many youth that is joining Krishna consciousness, they neglect their studies. They think while doing PhDs or high profile, any professional course, they are thinking they are diluting that it's not direct Krishna consciousness. So I need a clear guidance because this Zoom meeting is under recording. So that others can also get benefit. You from Brahmachari ashram, you went to do PhD for that high profile preaching. And now people are giving their PhD, postdocs and joining ashrams. And same way with few Matajis also. What they're doing, they're masters, Amtech, BTech, and then they're giving up everything. They're thinking they will chant 32 rounds, 64 rounds, they will do bhajan, kirtan. But what about the preaching? How we will preach to the Western world if we don't have the skills, even to any community, even in India, without education? So people have this idea that those who are doing their PhDs, masters, postdocs, their practice of Krishna consciousness is diluted, even though they are fixed up in their sadhana. So how to, they are misguided. In their initial years, they are just 2-3 years in ISKCON and somebody just tell them, no, this is not direct bhakti. You give up, you develop your active relationship with Krishna. So in between, they have given up their postdocs. And they are thinking they will directly take to Krishna consciousness. Though we have examples like yourself. Yeah.
Let me respond to you. First of all, I would like to let the audience know about the person who is asking the question. This very devotee, when she was in medical school, she wanted me to come to their medical school to speak to their medical professors, and so she went to meet the vice chancellor. And then the VC said, Swami wants to speak to medical professors. Can we have his CV? And so I waited for her to come back to give me the feedback about what the professor said. And then I couldn't hear back from her, so I called her up on the phone. And then when I called her, she said that, it will not be possible. I said, but what exactly did your professor say? She said, they're asking for CV. So I said, that's a good response. That's a very So then I sent her my CV. She went to give it to her professor. And then the professor saw the CV. And then he said, when is the Swami coming to give the talk? So she is an ophthalmologist, an eye specialist, and her question is very pertinent. In response to your question, let me just cite an example of what happened in Delhi Temple when I was there some time ago. There was one young lady. She was instructed by Krishna Maharaj to do a doctorate degree. And so she was doing a doctorate degree. But according to her, she had all type of misgivings all over the place. People were like criticizing her that she was in Maya or whatever. So I gave a class one day, a Bhagavatam class one day, and then after the class, she came to see me with one of my friends, one lady and her husband brought her. So she came to tell me that, oh, Maharaj, thank you. I said, you're thanking me for what? I don't even know you. She said, based on what you presented there, that she was very relieved and she could go on with her studies. I said, what studies? She said, Guru Maharaj instructed her to do a PhD, and she was doing it, but the preaching around the place from the devotees is, it's like she is misguided. But the point is that Guru Maharaj told her to do this. So I said, if your Guru told you to do this, and you want to listen to to some of the people, what they say, or you want to listen to what your Guru Maharaj said. She has finished the degree. She has finished the doctorate now. She's working. She's married with 2 kids now. She's been in touch. Herself and her husband have been in touch. So I remember also a case that one devotee is now a professor, a major also in the U.S. Army. He have, 2 masters, 1 PhD. When he was doing his undergrad, his university was just adjacent to one of these temples. So he was doing his undergrad, and then he met the president of the ISKCON temple. I don't want to mention the place, the country, but not in India. So he went to meet the president. This was, several years ago, over 20 years ago. He wanted to meet the temple president. The temple president had no degree. The temple president had no degree. He wanted to meet the temple president that he wants to leave his studies and move into the temple to become full-time brahmachari. The temple president had no degree. The temple president told him that not here, not in this temple. You cannot leave your studies to come and stay here in this temple. You go and finish your studies, you'll be more useful to this International Society for Krishna Consciousness and the world. That same devotee is now, he lives in the US, and is very productive in his devotional service, and very productive also as a professional. It's also very productive in terms of his domestic social affairs, family building. And so sometimes people are not properly able to understand the instructions given to some devotees by the spiritual master. And the point also is that we should not be very much worried about the general mass of people. There are also some of our devotees. Some of our devotees, they make some type of preaching that education is not a good thing. But it's not everyone who is going to be highly educated in a movement. Just like it's not everyone who is going to be highly educated in the material world. And so there are some people who have a commission, and their commission and mission on the planet require that they have to have special skills to be able to get into specific environments which are impenetrable, which are inaccessible to ordinary mass of people. So if your guru basically requests you to do something, go ahead and do it. Forget about the critics, the general mass of critics. Because with that lady from Delhi, what I perceived was that as a woman, some people might be thinking, what's she going to do with the PhD? But then you are not the guru. The guru had instructed her to do this. So it's a little bit strange that, and for me it's not strange, because even ordinary instructions that my spiritual master gave to me, some of my god brothers they come to me, don't do it. Openly, they tell me, don't do it. So if you have to listen to people, it is difficult to move ahead in a spiritual life. And so we should see how whatever we want to do, that is in alignment with the idea of our spiritual master. And we should not really worry about what people say. If you have to worry about what people say externally, you may not be able to move ahead. I have seen a situation where a devotee was chanting 32 rounds in an Ivy League in America. A female devotee was chanting 32 rounds in Ivy League. And a devotee in the temple told her, don't chant 32 rounds, just chant only 16 rounds and do some service and you'll be okay with it. So she told me that, and I said, well, if you listen to what people say, then you may not be able to satisfy your conscience. So if their chanting is able to give you a better leverage in terms of your studies, all right. But for someone to say, because I am older in the movement than you, I can tell you that, there is, so this is even a devotional sadhana. And someone says, don't do it. don't chant 32 rounds. So, not to speak of if you are going for professional development. And therefore, we should not be worried about so much about what people say. We should be able to understand what we want to do is in alignment or with the desires of the spiritual master. That is it. Yeah. So thank you very much for participating. Yes, Priya, what's the next inquiry?
Maharaj, we'd like to know what are you currently working on in terms of your journal? What are you currently working on? Your research.
Oh, I am actually two things I've been working on. When I got locked down here in Vrindavan, I embarked on two researches. One of them is de-escalation strategies for COVID-19 financial crimes. De-escalation strategies for COVID-19 financial fraud. That very research, I sent a proposal to one professor who was developing a book on crime, a book, an edited book, peer-reviewed book on crime and money laundering or something like that. So I sent a proposal to him, and like now. And the next 1 hour, he sent a response that I've read through your proposal. Please go ahead and develop your paper. We have accepted their proposal to be included as a book chapter in this very book, in this very project. So I just finished with the development of the chapter contribution, and I said it to him. It is going to go for peer review. The book is going to be published by IGI publishing organization in Philadelphia in the US. So that is a book that is embracing the ideas of different professors globally on issues that have to deal with theories, practice relating to crime and money laundering. And the second project that I'm working on, a second research that I finished the research. I'm only trying to get things together regarding the literature review and writing of the report. And that research is on understanding the value of sonic therapeutic intervention in preventing financial fraud. By sonic therapeutic intervention, I'm actually referring to chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra. So I'm developing that project. I'm writing the report, and I've I have also just sent a proposal to one organization. They are organizing a conference on business, management, and economics. A conference is coming up, is scheduled for December in Germany, in Berlin. So I just sent a proposal regarding that research, that understanding the value of sanitary. I just sent it to them, I think a day or so ago, and then I'm waiting to hear I'm waiting to hear their verdict. So yeah, I'm locked down here, but the brain is it's not locked down, I'm doing whatever I can. I'm doing the little preaching that I can do. Yeah.
It's really amazing, Maharaj. And, we are coming towards the end of the program. If anyone has any questions, you're welcome to raise your hand. Before we go, if there are any questions, before we go into that, I'd like to share the poster for next week's webinar with Maharaj. And you'll see Maharaj's title as Dr. Vasudeva Das. So just give me a second, please. I'm just trying to get that up. So please do join us next week. It is a little later in the day. So if you're in South Africa, it's 5 p.m. And the topic is Redefining Self-Love in the Age of Selfies. So, it's a very catchy title, and I'm sure Maharaj is really going to inspire us with this. It is an outreach program, so please feel free to share it with your networks of friends, work colleagues, or whoever you feel may be inspired by this. We will be sending it out as well to those who sent us their email addresses. So yeah, are there any more questions?
Excuse me.
Yes, Maharaj. Yes.
This redefining self-love is not so much of a spiritual discussion. Mm-hmm. So feel free to invite your secular friends, and they will not be embarrassed. They will not. You're not going to try to convert them to Krishna consciousness. Actually, this very topic, I was going to present this topic to some academic community in America, in Connecticut, at Dixon's University. But then, some or the other, I couldn't go for that program. So then, this topic is actually not. It was originally targeted for an academic community here.
Thank you for
so feel free to get your secular friends to come to listen.
Thank you, Maharaj. Like I said, does anyone have any questions or would like to, say Hare Krishna to Maharaj? It's you can unmute yourself now. I'd like to really thank you from the bottom of our heart, Maharaj, for giving us this time and for also giving us a platform to share with our, network of colleagues and friends, because it's very hard, I'm finding it personally, to integrate my spiritual life as well as corporate. So we really appreciate this.
Integration, one last thing. Integration is a very difficult thing. Even in calculus, if you study mathematics or applied mathematics, even in applied mathematics, there is a section which deals with integration. And when it comes to integration, in calculus itself, it's very difficult. When it comes to integration, students leave the class because it's so abstract. My point is integration, whether it is in calculus or integrating spiritual culture with with professional development, professional culture. No, it is difficult. If someone tells you it's not difficult, they've not tried it.
Thank you for that, Maharaj. I actually did
calculate. But it's doable.
Raj, in the meantime, can you please, it's a request from a lot of us, can you please share a pastime of Bhakti Tirtha Swami, to really inspire us, and where he did his boldness.
That pastime, you may like it, but I can share it.
We'd love more, Raj. We'd love more.
So when I was much younger, when I was a brahmachari, I was a very tough guy. I was superlatively a tough guy. Super strict, super tough. So I remember one time when I was the regional secretary in Nigeria, so he had come, and then normally you have to travel with him to all of the temples all over the country. And he had a secretary who does typing documentation for him. Beautiful, beautiful lady. So 3 of us, and we're traveling with a wagon, a Pojo wagon. So the driver, he sits in the front with the driver. And so as a brahmachari, I sat at the rear, at the back of the car. So that female devotee was sitting in the middle seat. So, brahmacharis and women, they don't mix. Okay, so I sat like I sat like that. I sat like that. So, and when he came down from upstairs, he came to the car. We are there waiting. So when he came to the car, he looked into the car, and he saw that I was sitting at the rear, at the back of the car. So he said, Vasudeva, come and sit in the middle. Come and sit here with this Mataji. So I remember when I first visited Chopati temple, these brahmacharis, they came worrying me, coming, all over the place. They say, oh, come and give us some pastimes about you and Bhakti Tirtha. So I told them, you will not like it. They say, why? Come and tell us. So I told them this story. And, most of those brahmacharis, they were agap. They opened their mouth like this. What? Yeah, so that was a tested time. Because what is the idea behind it? All right, I'm going to make you sannyasi. This is the whole the tale behind it. I'm going to make you sannyasi. You're going to be traveling around all over the world, boarding airplanes and all this. And in the airplane, you're not going to tell some, okay, your seat is between two beautiful ladies. You're not going to tell the air mistress or the airlines officials that, hey, I'm a brahmachari. Come on, remove these two ladies here. You're not going to tell them that. So practice from home is practice from home or practice is better than precepts. And so it was like a preparation for the future. And so that pastime was something that I remember, and it's a trigger for especially those who are in the brahmachari ashram when they hear this. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing, Raj. we do have Yoshna back online. So Yoshna, you're welcome to speak.
Yes. Hare Krishna Maharaj. Sorry, I joined a bit late, but still, I just really wanted to say thank you, really thank you, especially for your examples and analogies. Sometimes hearing philosophy is one thing, and we listen, we hear, but we don't know how to put them into practice, essentially. But then when you give these, examples, at least for me, I get a better picture of what needs to be done, how people need to be tackled, especially when they're hostile or not. Well, you know what I mean, right? So just saying thank you for that. And
thank you for thanking me.
and also just your person itself, your enthusiasm is very contagious. I was feeling a bit lazy for a Purushottam Mass, but now I'm all charged up again to do more actively. So thank you for that too.
All right.
Very important. That's it.
Thank you, Yoshna. I have known Yoshna right from when she was in high school.
True.
All right. Anything else?
From my side, Miraj, I don't think there's any more questions. If people would like to, thank you or, greet you, they're welcome to unmute and greet you. But from our side, we'd like to thank everyone for joining in. Very sincere and heartfelt thanks. And Miraj, we're so grateful to have your association. So, like we said, thank you, Miraj. Next week is Miraj's webinar, so please join us and please share with as many people as you can. So Hare Krishna, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Just a side note, Miraj does have a YouTube channel as well, so you're welcome to check out this webinar. The recording will be uploaded.
Yeah, Miraj, you should share the channel. I think Dr. Vasudeva does. Google that on YouTube. You'll be able to get a channel.
Perfect. Miraj, there's been a few messages coming in. I'm just going to read that out to you. Radha Raman Das says, definitely Miraj's smile is contagious. That's from him.
Who's that?
It's Radha Raman Das.
Where is it from?
From Durban. He's my partner. And then there's Dipshika Mataji says, thanks a lot. Okay, we will share the link with Mataji. Sita Charan from Joburg. I'm not sure if you remember her, Miraj. She said, thank you so much. I think she's also been a part of, she may have been at the Krishna Balaram retreat a few years ago. I'm not sure. But yeah, everyone passes their gratitude.
Thank you. Thank you very much, everyone, for participating in this Krishna consciousness.
Jai. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.